This is Steve Ridgel, and I want to say a word this morning about, well, it's about a church tradition that's been around for decades, and a lot of churches still do. And a lot of churches are beginning to ask the question, is it worth doing this or not? It is the famous 1 week every summer, Sunday night through Wednesday night, Monday night through Thursday night, some version of that, where churches put on VBS, Vacation Bible School. Typically, it follows the same format in every church. You bring all the kids in. Sometimes you give them T-shirts, and you do some version of a lot of singing the great kid songs, Father Abraham and Jesus Loves Me and Jesus Loves Little Children, and some contemporary songs are easy to sing, and you have the kids sit in their class sections with their class teachers, and you'll do the singing. And there'll be some version, maybe of a short lesson. Often a skit will be done. Some churches do elaborate. They put on performances and that kind of thing. Some will just have a skit that kind of shows the. And so you'll see the stage decorated up. We're doing Elijah this summer at Hillcrest, and so we've got an Elijah stage set up, and you'll do the skit. You'll have the singing. You'll have some kind of maybe the kids will go to classes where they'll teach a little more of the lesson. They saw it in the skit, and then you'll teach more of it. Or you'll have craft rooms where they make something that relates to the story, like in this case of Elijah or Moses or David or Jesus or whoever the VBS main character is. And so you'll have maybe a marketplace that looks like Jesus times or the temple or whatever you're doing. And so you'll have all these, and boy, the volunteers put in a lot of hours. Teachers work hard. Boy, I led singing at a million of them in my younger days, and I watched the guys doing ours, and I'm just like, wow, the energy to keep all those kids entertained and happy. And so it's a great thing, but you got to ask the question. I think every church is healthy to say, why do we do this? Because I'm going to tell you, it consumes a lot of hours. It's not so much the expense, though it does cost some money to get all the props and all the material teaching and all blah, blah, blah. But the volunteer hours are enormous. I mean, we literally have people that put in weeks of work leading up to VBS, and everybody's a volunteer at VBS. Now, our paid staff works some, but even our children's ministry has volunteers that kind of run VBS for, and so it takes a lot of time and effort. So here are the things I think are a benefit to VBS and the things I think it doesn't do that we sometimes think it does. So here are some of the benefits. The kids in your church and the grandkids. I mean, I looked at our kids. The kids I didn't know were almost all grandkids of people that go to our church. And you've got all these kids, and some of the kids will ask their friends, and they'll come. And so you've got all of these kids who are hearing Bible stories. And I think that's formative. I think that really helps kids learn some stuff about the Bible. And you do it in a really fun setting. And I think it's always good for kids to come to church and have a great experience. I think VBS is a great way for teenagers, especially your middle school kids, to learn to do church service, church work. And I think that's good. And I think you get a lot now. And as I said a minute ago, most visitors I see, and I talk to other churches, almost all the visitors are church connected. There are families literally that kind of make the vacation Bible school circuit. They'll pick 3 or 4 churches they like their VBS, and they'll go to that every year. But it can be a way to introduce people to church. If you can get their kids to come, you get the parents to come to the skit. Some churches have moved, and I kind of like this model for a number of reasons, where you can't just drop your kids off at VBS, take off, and come back and pick them up when you get through with your date night or your errands. Or some churches require a parent to stay on site, and then they do an adult class. I think that's pretty slick and a pretty good way to do stuff. I think that's a great model. But I tell you what VBS doesn't do anymore. It really doesn't bring a lot of non-church, I never heard of church visitors to your building, to your church. It doesn't really do that anymore. It brings people who have church interest to come. It's not a bad thing. You just need to know it's probably not an evangelistic tool. So, what do I think about VBS? Oh, I'm glad we're having it. I like it. Kids are having a good time. And anytime a bunch of kids learn some Bible, have a good time, I think that's a win. So this is Steve Ridgel trying to survive Vacation Bible School season.